As soon as next year, promotion and relegation might finally be coming to US soccer. As a current professional footballer here in America, I thought I'd explain what's going on, as well as give my thoughts on the whole situation, pro rel in general, and if I think it's going to work. So first off, what's going on? So in about a month, on August 9th and 10th, all of the owners of USL teams are getting together in Colorado Springs and voting on the implementation of promotion and relegation within the USL. For those of you who don't know or need a little refresher, the current US pyramid kind of looks like this. We have the MLS sitting at the first tier of the pyramid. Then we have the USL Championship, the league in which I currently play in, sitting on the second tier. And then in the third tier, we have 3 independent leagues. We have USL League One, NISA, and MLS Next Pro. So this vote is amongst the owners of these USL Championship teams and these USL League One teams. And they're basically going to vote and discuss if there's even enough interest amongst the owners to bring promotion and relegation between the USL Championship and USL League One, and possibly even another league that sits in between these two leagues, so that there's promotion and relegation between 3 professional USL leagues. And this is huge, not only for the USL, but US soccer in general, because ever since the creation of these leagues, there has never been promotion and relegation in any of them. As of now, if you want to bring a professional organization to your city, or you want your team to move up the ladder, you basically have to bid and buy in to these leagues and pay millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, to buy your way into this league as an expansion team. It gets a little bit more complicated than that, but that's a topic for another video. Now, the main reason that USL owners want to bring Pro Rel to these leagues is basically to boost interest and boost the popularity of the USL. I think everybody agrees that leagues with Pro Rel are more exciting because of the higher stakes of getting relegated or getting promoted. So owners are guessing that by implementing this into these leagues, that's going to boost attendances, increase the fans, and just overall have more eyes on the USL. Like I mentioned before, there's currently only 2 professional USL leagues. There's the USL Championship and USL League One. And it's speculated that if Pro Rel was brought to these leagues, they would bring in a 3rd league that would sit in between the USL Championship and USL League One, so that there would be 3 open leagues in the system with promotion relegation. The reason for this is because if there's just 2 leagues with Pro Rel, it's not as exciting, and they think that mainly this is only going to work if there's 3 different leagues, so that there are higher stakes and not just bouncing between 1 and 2 leagues. If this hypothetical league does happen, it's rumored that a lot of USL Championship teams might drop down into this division, as well as some expansion teams, so that there's 3 equal leagues all competing in this open system. The craziest part about all this is that this could happen as soon as next year, 2024. However, there's also some speculation that the 2024 season, next season, in the USL Championship is going to determine which teams stay up in the USL Championship and which teams might drop down to this hypothetical middle league. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, and I kind of already have at this point, to be honest, but this vote on August 9th and 10th of the owners is really a vote to just gauge if there's enough interest to bring promotion and relegation to these leagues. This is just starting to put the wheels in motion. This is like step 1 of a 100-step plan. But it is step 1. Now, as a current professional footballer playing in the USL Championship, what are my thoughts about all of this? Well, the overwhelming feeling that I'm getting from this is just excitement. And this is coming from a USL Championship player that literally has nothing to gain from this system and everything to lose. I literally can only go down in this system, but still, I'm excited about the potential of bringing Pro Rel to these leagues, and in general to America. I've played lower leagues in Germany as well as in New Zealand, and I've experienced firsthand to play in leagues with promotion and relegation, and I've seen firsthand how much more added pressure and how much more stakes and how much more excitement is brought into these leagues and to these games when there's a threat of relegation and the chance at promotion. And I've been in the locker room in New Zealand after a tie where we secured our spot next season in that league, and we were safe from relegation, and we were excited and popping champagne and just jumping up and down for joy. I've experienced that, and that is so much fun to do. It just adds so much more emotion to an already incredibly emotional job and emotional sport. The passion is just, it's awesome, and I love it. Now, I also see this as a big positive for the USL Championship as well. I do think this added excitement and Pro Rel is going to bring more eyes, more fans, and more passion to the league, and I think that can only be a good thing. And I also can't help but see this as a little jab at the MLS from the USL. I think that if the USL were to implement Pro Rel, that this would put a lot of external pressure on the MLS to basically assimilate into this open system and have promotion relegation from top to bottom of the pyramid. However, I really don't see the MLS adopting relegation into their league anytime in the next 5 to 10 years. I might be wrong. This is just my guess. But I just think all the owners of MLS teams are looking at this and just seeing ways to lose hundreds of millions of dollars if their team was relegated. And as well, they would also lose out on the hundreds of millions of dollars the league generates from accepting these new expansion teams in, because now no team's going to pay for that if there is promotion and relegation. And so now long term, 10, 20 years in the future, if the MLS refused to adopt promotion relegation in the US soccer pyramid, I think the USL would then fight for the MLS back to the soccer wars where leagues are fighting for different levels of the pyramid back in the past. I think the USL would be pushing for that first division sanctioning, which in layman's terms, the USL would want to get up to the first tier of the pyramid and push the MLS down to the second tier. Again, that's a lot of speculation. That's just my opinion. That's just what I've heard rumors about. And this is 10, 20 years in the future. So, don't take it too seriously. Now, the downsides of Pro Rel. I don't want you guys to think that this is all just sunshine and rainbows and there's nothing bad that can happen by implementing this. There is some stuff that really needs to be ironed out for this to work. And if it's not ironed out, then I can see this failing and I can see a lot of teams folding because of the financial burden that they experience. The first complication I see is that there are a ton of very, very young professional organizations here in America. Even the team I currently play for, Hartford Athletic, is like 5 years old. And the team I played for last year, the Charleston Battery, which is the oldest continuously run professional soccer team in America, it's only 31 years old. My fear is, since all of these teams are so young, that they don't have that diehard support or infrastructure for the clubs that is built over generations or hundreds of years like you have over in Europe. And if a team is relegated, they might not be able to hold on to enough supporters or financially hold on to survive a relegation, and they'll just fold. And I know this is a threat everywhere in every single country around the world, but I think that with America being so young and so many teams being just a couple years old, that this might be even more of a problem. I also think that if the MLS was to be adopted in this full promotion relegation, that there's a lot of lower league teams that just couldn't expand up to the MLS, even with the new broadcasting deals and the money that comes with that. Because there's a lot of lower league professional teams here in America that play out of old college stadiums, or they play on turf that's laid over other turf, or they play in baseball fields, and they just don't have the stadiums or the infrastructure or the facilities or the money to expand up to what the MLS is requiring for these teams. And then so they might pass on the promotion, and this might not work as fluidly as you think it would. Now, again, I really only think that's a problem if the MLS is involved. I think from the USL Championship to USL League One, the gap is so small between facilities and money and all this stuff that it should work pretty well, I'm guessing. I'm also a little curious about what's going to happen with like salary minimums and all the stuff that we've really fought for with our USLPA and our new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement in the USL Championship and in USL League One. A lot of people worked really hard to put these new regulations in and like a salary minimum. And I would hope that this would just all continue to transfer if there is promotion relegation and now teams going from higher leagues to lower leagues or whatever it is. It can work. We just need to iron out those details before it's implemented. So to sum up, I want promotion and relegation to come to the USL 100%. I want promotion and relegation to come to the US. I think there are far, far, far more pros than cons, but I can still see where promotion and relegation can go wrong in America if it's rushed or if it's done sloppily and they don't put the infrastructure necessary to make pro rel sustainable for the long term. So I'm really hopeful, and I hope this vote gets passed, and I hope that we can bring pro rel to America the right way. And I will check back in with all of you guys in about a month once we hear about this vote.